Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN OutLap. It is episode number 56, April the 25th, 2023. And those of you may be new to our podcast program, our OutLap is the opening piece of content for our EKN Trackside live events. We go to the events, we start things off with our preview podcast, this EKN OutLap. And again, we've been doing a lot of them. This is number 56. We are getting set to talk about the next round of the United States Pro Kart Series. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, who will be trackside down at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas this weekend for that event. First time that the USPKS has gone to Texas. Lots to talk about today. And again, this edition of the OutLap presented by Parolin USA. It all started back in 1994 when former kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory race team at all the major Superkarts USA, USPKS, and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis line for the 2023 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior drivers, the 28mm Opportunity model for the cadet classes, and the Daytona 4-cycle chassis. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to www.parolinusa.com. All right, David, let's bring you in on this one. Let's do this.
Hey, do we have to do the WWW? It's 2023, Rob. I think everybody knows.
You know, that's 100% true. It's literally just an automatic deal sometimes.
It is automatic pilot.
Yep. I just don't know why to do it. Yeah.
You're like the blow up doll in airplane.
Yeah, that's it. Dude, that's funny. Wow. Like nobody's going to get that reference unless they're 50 and up. You realize that, right?
Maybe I know, but I can say that.
You can. All right, folks.
I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. The kids can look it up.
This is the United States Pro Kart Series edition of our OutLap here. The Texas Grand Prix happening this coming weekend, April 27th to the 30th. Speed Sports Racing Park, Alan and Jessica Rudolph's facility down there. I've been there many times. Love the place. You're going to go there for the first time. You're going to dig it. But Dave, round number 2 of a 5-round championship series, a little bit of a different approach this year for the USPKS with one main event every weekend. That'll of course happen on Sunday. They'll run through that, but it's round number 2. The first round was fantastic, and I think everybody's going to love getting into Texas for sure.
Yeah, the 11th season of the United States Pro Kart Series is certainly a new era in terms of the organization moving to 5 race events, moving to 1 round per weekend. So, and now heading to any facility west of the Mississippi. Yeah. Something I posted today. This is the furthest west the series has gone since where? Did you catch that?
I saw it. Yeah. Shawano, Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's funny because you look at Shawano, Badger, Kart Circuit Autobahn or Kart Circuit Autobahn.
You got it right.
In Joliet. Yep. So those are kind of like the most Western events, and they all are facilities, and they all kind of align very similar. Even Road America, you add that in. So four facilities that are kind of like within 50-mile radius of the latitude line. Correct? I think that's latitude. Does the latitude go vertical? I can't remember. Anyway. Come on, are you not a geography guy?
No, I am not a geography guy. I was an English major, dude. Listen, I'm an English major. You're a math major.
Hold on.
Why
are
we talking about longitude?
You're not a graduate. That's right. You're not a graduate.
I did not graduate. I'm a class and a half away.
Yeah, first event across the Mississippi River. So that's a big moving stone, a stepping stone for the series. Excited to be part of it. Excited to get to Speed Sports and, looking at the weather. 70 to 80s for the highs. Chance of rain probably most likely on Thursday, but they're saying Saturday maybe a chance as well too. So that's going to be the question mark for me going into the weekend is what's the weather going to be?
Yeah, 11th season for this program as well. We're in a really kind of a cool place here, folks. I've been doing this for 25 years now, and early in my run as a journalist, there was a lot of series that would be around for 2-3 years, 4 years max, and that was it. They're gone. The SCUSA Pro Tour has been around since 2010, 11 seasons now for this program. We talked about the Florida Winter Tour has been around for 25 years with different iterations, different owners, right?
16 years for Challenge of the Americas.
16 years for the Challenge of the Americas. We're in a place right now with a lot of stability in terms of programs. So you take it for granted. We don't because we've been around long enough. we found ourselves going to different series every year, something new. A new series would come up, but we have stability. 11 years for this fantastic USPKS program. David, let's talk about the track itself. You haven't been there. You will. You're going to enjoy this place. 0.8 of a mile. They run it the clockwise direction. And I'll let you kind of roll through some other stuff, but I'll tell you this right now, folks, there's probably I would say at least 6 quality overtaking opportunities, because the way you have to drive this track to be fast opens up a lot of inside moves. It's a great race track to call action on for sure.
Yeah, began construction in 2015 and opened in late of 2016. 15 turns, 0.8 of a mile layout in the clockwise direction. Again, the layout designed by Alan Rudolph himself. And as I already mentioned, the first visit for the United States Pro Kart Series and first ever trip west of the Mississippi River, with Shawano, Wisconsin being the furthest west event that United States Pro Kart Series has been to up until this weekend. And really, Rob, that was kind of my thought going into the track itself, because you've been there, you've driven it.
Yeah.
What is it similar to anything else that we have in the U.S., or is it kind of a standalone facility? And then, as you said, talk about some of the passing opportunities.
That's really weird. I don't know that I've ever really kind of taken the time to compare it to something else. Obviously, it's number one, it's flat. There's no elevation changes, but there's a lot of double apex corners, which I really like. There's a couple of hard braking corners as well that you really got to get the kart to rotate. But there are parts of the track where you got to carry a ton of speed, right? When you get through the 1, 2, 3 complex, you're carrying a ton of speed. You have to place the kart in the right spot. Getting onto the straightaways, another double right-hander to come onto the back straightaway, which is crucial. But again, they got that long run down into I think they call it turn 6 is the end of the back straightaway. So
correct.
Opportunity to pass in there. Otherwise, the over/under coming into the next corner as well. You can pass there. And then there's another kind of a double right-hander where you have to be wide to make the pass on the inside. Guys will dive into there. Again, there's a number of hairpins where the wide opening is going to allow drivers to get to the inside, although it also, of course, presents an over-under, right, if somebody's blocking on the inside. So it's just there's so many places to pass. This is definitely not a one-lane racetrack. That's the beauty of it. The weather's going to be different. I've never been there, of course, in the wet. If it ends up raining a little bit, I think, was I there? No, I don't know if I've been there in the rain before. I was there for some Texas Pro Kart Challenge events as well. The rain would definitely make things interesting for sure. But overall, back straightaway, bunch of different places to take, deep moves to the inside to kind of battle in the apex.
Going. Obviously, it's different because the start finish line is away from where the grid is and the paddock is. So you got turns 1, 2, very similar to Orlando in terms of that, at least, because you can't see who is actually crossing the line first unless you're alongside of it. But there's that turn 1, 2, 3, 4 section. Like, is that pretty much a follow the leader section, or are you able to maybe dive in and get inside somebody?
I think in turn 3, so turn 1 is a left, kind of a fast left-hander. So it's not a 90, it's more of a 45. You just roll a lot of speed through there, but then you've got to set yourself up for turn 2. And as you come over to turn 2, you're kind of placing the kart in the right spot. You want to jump the curbing a little bit. Guys can make a move to the inside there for sure. More so when you come out of that corner as well, as you go wide, come through the left-hander, you go wide to set up for the double rights. Somebody can dive down the inside of the double rights as well and get a run on the entry to the back straightaway. So there are passing opportunities. You can't, once they get past turn 1, you really can't see 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, that 4, because it's from where you are in the booth, the actual rental kart building is right there. So you can't see turns 2. Well, from at least from my vantage point in the tower, you couldn't see turns 2, 3, and 4. You'll see them come back on.
So we have to yell at Alan for that then.
Yeah, I get a list 100%. Ripping down on that one.
Then he'll take your name off the tower.
Don't do that then. I like having my name on the tower. That's cool. Let's run us through the event schedule. I know optional practice on Thursday. Everybody's going to be rolling here in a couple of days. Let's run us through the rest of the schedule, because it is a bit different to a SCUSA Pro Tour or some of the other programs.
Yeah, Thursday optional practice run typically by the racetrack itself. So a lot of drivers take part in that. Probably 90%, if not 100% of the drivers will be there on Thursday. Then we get into official rounds of practice, 4 rounds on Friday, followed up by qualifying at the end of the day. So we'll know who are the top dogs by the end of Friday and who everybody will be chasing come Saturday, when we have warm up and 3 rounds of heat races for each category, 10 laps each. So a couple laps less than what we did at Orlando. That's one of the things they're changing up for the event at Speed Sports is kind of dropping the laps a little bit. Then we'll head into Sunday with warm-ups, LCQs, and those will be 8 laps compared to 10 at Orlando, and that'll be for the KA100 senior and KA100 junior fields. Top 40 in the heat points move to the final. Top 6 from the LCQ will continue on, so you'll have a full grid of 46 drivers in those 2 categories. And the main events will be 20 laps each. Aside from the cadet divisions, then those will be 18 laps.
There you have it, folks. That's your event schedule for round number 2 of the USPKS, which will be taking place at Speed Sports Racing Park this coming weekend in New Caney, Texas. Time for our first break. When we get back, David Cole and I will go by the numbers and have a little look at the entry lists that we have for this coming weekend's event.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's growing resume. Nitro Kart continues to make its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. In 2021, Nitro Kart won the 3 biggest crowns in America in the Micro Swift division, with Mateo Rosu in the SCUSA Pro Tour and both the Super Nationals and the USPKS titles with Keelan Harvick. At the Super Nats alone, 3 of the top 5 drivers on the podium got there on a Nitro Kart. The results are clear. If you want to win in cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join our team. At Nitro Kart, we're all about driver development. Nick Tucker and the Nitro Crew's racing resumes are extensive, and their passion for helping our kids learn is unparalleled. Racing is about consistent learning, and that's what we're all about here at Nitro Kart. Never wanting to quit, we've continued to extend the reach of our driver development program. In addition to expanding into the junior and senior karting categories, we've also launched Nitro Motorsports, which will field 2 cars this season in the Trans Am by Pirelli series, one being piloted by karting champion Brent Cruz. Not only can we develop your young driver, but we can also provide the platform if a move to cars is in your plan. And our second seat is available. If you're serious about your driver's career, contact us today.
Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the 2023 season include the Ignite Majors, which begins with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week as part of both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, which just finished up a record-setting season in 2022. Local club programs have also been established in other states all across the country, from Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast fun and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite Kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and out onto the track in 2023. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Welcome back to episode 56 of the EKN OutLap, our preview podcasts of this weekend's USPKS event at Speed Sports Racing Park, the Texas Grand Prix. Launched the program for 2023 at Orlando, part of that month of Orlando, essentially. 303 drivers is what they ended up with in Orlando. Pre-entry numbers, David, for Speed Sports and the Texas Grand Prix, 276. Knowing kind of the walk-ups they get, wouldn't be surprised to potentially see them break 300 again.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. I thought they were going to get there, and the pre-entry count, of course, capping the mini Swift category at 46. So that's part of it. I think they could get a lot more entries if they were to open that up. But again, time table only allows for that category to run one session with KA100 Junior and KA100 Senior over 50. Get 50 for the junior category and 54 for KA100 Senior, plus the addition of Pro Shifter. That's really where the time constraint runs, because now we have 8 categories compared to 7 over the last couple of years, and Pro Shifter's at 16. So just a couple down from Orlando. So it's a good start, but there's going to be a lot of Texas influx in that category, as we'll get into it a little bit later on. But again, most of the categories remain the same except for X30 Junior, down to 17 from 29. So a loss of 12 drivers there. And again, just, that's just kind of the ebb and flow of numbers right now. The junior category, we had a lot of graduates move up. We got some of the minis that moved up and they go right into the KA100 Junior, not quite into the X30 category. So I think that's kind of where we're lacking it. There was a big, scuttlebutt on social media about, where are the X30 numbers? Well, Pro is right there at 34. So they continue that streak of being over 30 that they've carried for a number of years now. Excuse me. But really, it's just the junior category. I mean, we keep saying it, kids are moving off to cars. Kids are doing this. The mini guys are just getting into the KA100 Junior, not graduating up to the X30 yet. So a lot of different factors into that. I don't think it's the package. I think the X30 junior categories produce a lot of great racing over the last few years, but I think it's just the ebbs and flows of no different than, school numbers, school district numbers. They go up and down all the time based on population, and just kind of this is the year that numbers are a little bit down for the junior X30 junior category. And
it's interesting too when you think about you go to Florida. When we talk about California, it's the Cal Speed bump, right? When series like the Challenge would go to Cal Speed, the local drivers would run, but they wouldn't potentially run all the other series. So when you start the USPK off in Florida, there are a lot of drivers that only race in Florida, right? Or they only race at Orlando. I'm sure there was a ton of drivers that only are kind of local Orlando racers who maybe aren't making the trek to Speed Sports. So you have the Florida drivers, and then you look to replace them potentially with the Texas drivers, right? Because obviously there's a pretty strong IAME program running in the Texas region, all the events that happen there. So Micro Swift goes from 31 up to 39. So 39 drivers in micro, almost 40 in the micro category, 46 in mini, dropped to 17 in junior. As you said, there's not a lot of X30 juniors, I think, running the regional program in Texas.
There is none. There's none.
Yeah, in the regional program here, they don't even run that class. That's right. I'm thinking more club-wise. The surprise to me a little bit with KA100 Masters, because the KA100 Master category is very well supported in Texas. They ended up with 20. Now, granted, maybe there's guys that are going to enter late. Maybe they race enough, because I know that there's obviously a lot of racing going on in Texas. But I was a bit surprised by only 20 drivers in the KA100 Masters class.
I am as well. I thought with the Texas Sprint Racing Series getting over 20 guys for their program, including at Speed Sports just in March there before the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals, I thought we were going to hit 30. I thought that was going to be the number. I know a couple of drivers obviously have work conflicts, so they're not able to be there, such as David Grande. So that's part of it. So you don't quite know. Calendar wise, it's April. Towards the end of April, you don't know if they got kids going to proms or kids graduating college. There's, Masters guys, they got kids and jobs.
That's it.
That's what dictates their life.
Yeah.
And then they can go racing when they can. So, I thought we were going to have a lot more, looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers from Texas. So, and many of them were already at Orlando. So that's kind of the disappointment there. In terms of the numbers, that's the only really disappointment in terms of numbers right now.
What are your thoughts on Pro Shifter?
Yeah, pro shifter at 16, we've gone over this. Was there a need to add this category? To me personally, not really, but the series has done that. And so, 18 was a good start, but like you said, it had a Florida bump a little bit. Yep. Now it's going to get a Texas bump. So what happens when we go to regions that, aren't very shifter friendly? And, when we go to Newcastle, when we go to GoPro, we don't ever see shifters running at GoPro.
Yeah.
So that'll be the one that will kind of be the question mark of like, okay, is this thing going to hold on throughout the year?
Yeah.
Hopefully it does, because it seems like the teams that are at USBKS are behind it. You obviously have many of the big names, many of the top 10 in the shifter kart driver rankings that we are going to be releasing today, are in the field. So that's part of it. Again, just, we got to start building numbers at the regional level and local level in terms of shifter kart racers.
That's true. All right, folks, there you go. We'll get things underway with the by the numbers, 276 pre-entries going into this event, the Texas Grand Prix. When we get back, it's time to dive in class by class. In the next segment, we'll go X30 Pro, KA100 Senior, and Pro Shifter. For over 20 years, Greg Bell has been building race-winning power for kart racers. One need only look at his team, Leading Edge Motorsports. He's always built engines for his team, and the results have been wins at the biggest races in America, the SCUSA Super Nationals and the Rock Vegas events. The name on this program, Mega Power. This year alone, Bell and Danny Formel teamed up to sweep the Rock Shifter class on the Florida Winter Tour, all on a Mega Power engine. If you want to win shifter kart races, it's time to put Mega Power on your kart. Mega Power specializes in gearbox engines, such as the TMKZ, Rock Shifter, and IME Shifter, but with almost 3 decades of engine building experience, Bell develops winning motors for X30 and Mini Swift and everything in between. The combination of Greg Bell's engine building skills and his chassis tuning knowledge is a potent mixture. Greg's helped catapult many drivers to wins over the years, including Mercedes F1 star George Russell, who won the Supernats 14 in 2011 with Leading Edge Motorsports. Increase your odds of winning at this year's Rock Vegas or Super National events or throughout 2023 by calling Greg Bell today at 209-747-2613 to put Mega Power in your corner. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready for the 2022 season with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. CRG Nordam is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, CRG Nordam supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 is our new chassis for tag and shifter racing, and it's been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 features 30mm construction with a 32mm front loop to increase front grip. CRG's new VEN 13 brake system is cutting-edge technology with a master cylinder that allows for pressure regulation within the system. Drivers can customize brake pressure to their own requirements to improve feel and to avoid brake lockup. The kart is finished with new KG 507, 508 bodywork that has refined aerodynamics and reduced weight. For cadet drivers, the 2022 CRG Black Mirror is already logging positive results to start the new season. This chassis will be making big waves in 2022. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know that the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, is still available. With 4-cycle racing enjoying consistent growth in North America, CRG's FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. CRG Nordam has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to www.kartcrg.com, and to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at info@kartcrg-nordam.com. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has a unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 56 of our OutLap preview podcast, talking about the USPKS round number 2 at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. Rob Howden alongside David Coles. We're diving into the Texas Grand Prix. We'll start with X30 Pro. We talked about it in the by the numbers. Still over 30 drivers, 34 in total. Arias Dukmedjian coming back, and that was a kind of a surprise return for Dukmedjian. He ended up being the winner coming out of the gate. So again, Dukmedjian, David, with the win, but does not roll into Texas as the point leader, as of course the points kind of being spread out through all the heat races and everything. So again, Dukmedjian got the win, but doesn't come away with the point lead.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest thing in the championship hunt is the heat races and how you perform in those. Yeah. And looking at that, even the 50 point bonus for top qualifier. So that's a lot of points for qualifying. So every session really matters. So if you're not in the top 10 in qualifying, you're losing valuable points towards the championship. And so, you look at Brandon Carr, he qualified second overall, finished second in one of the heat races, about top 5 in the other 2. And then, main event, I think it was just outside the top 5 as well, or inside the top 5. So it being consistent throughout the weekend helps get you points. So I would not be surprised, again, looking at overall the points championship on all the categories, if you get multiple champions without a victory. I mean, that could be a possibility. Yeah. No different than what we've seen at, Andy Seisman, the Challenge in Americas, has a really cool point system as well. But I think this really makes every single session very important, because you look at second in points, Aiden Grada, who's actually not going to be there this weekend due to health issues. So we wish the best for him as he recovers from, I believe it was an allergic reaction to something. Yep. So we do hope the best for him, but he had 2 heat wins. So that helps put him in a third place runner up, or a third place result in the main event. So that put him second in the points. That's 2 heat wins and a third place. You're expecting, I should be, a championship leader. Well, Brandon Carr was a little bit more consistent across the board because Aiden Ingrata had a DNF in the opening heat race. So again, every single session's going to matter in these championships. And again, that might help Ryan Norberg, slowly creep back in, because again, had that disqualification in qualifying in Orlando that put him at the back of every field in the heat races, got into the top 10 through the heat races, and then finished second in the main event. So that put him 6th in the championship, mind you, 94 points back. But again, there's a lot of racing to be had and to be done.
Yeah, top 5 again. Brandon Carr leading the way, 35 points back for Aiden Ingrata, who will not be there. As you said, an allergic reaction sent him to the hospital, so it'll be a drop for Aiden. Paulie Massimino, 45 points back. Dukmedjian, 47 back. Ellie Goldstein, the TB kart driver, 77 points back, and then Norberg, 94 points back. And a lot of stories, though, here for X30 Pro. We'll have to roll through. Number 1, no Ingrata, as we've talked about. Aiden will not be there. Goldstein is actually coming back for TB Kart, which is great. And a couple of big debuts, 2 hot rods from the UK, David, who have come over here for 2023. Joe Turney back again with the Kart Republic crew, and Harley Keeble with Sodi Racing USA and PK Sports. Keeble back again after a win at the Challenge of the Americas, a strong debut at the SCUSA Winter Nationals. Both those drivers making their USPKS debuts here this weekend.
Yeah, that just really amps up the field for the United States Pro Kart Series. Again, making it more and more an international field as the series continues on. You got it, again, you add in Norberg, you add in Goldstein, Carr, the British driver as well too. Ingrata would have been a Canadian. I'm sure there's another Canadian in there that would be in the hunt as well. Probably I'm looking for him. Zachary Clayman DeMello. He's been he and Norberg have been going at it, especially that weekend. So it makes it a very big international field. But Turney, Keeble, Norberg, Mateus Morgado, reigning world champion. There's so many big names.
Before we go through the grid and throw names in here, I was in Bermuda this past weekend at the Lindos Grand Prix, running with the Bermuda Karting Club. I didn't hear about this. I'm reading the script that you've got laid out here. Paulie Massimito to Mike Doty Racing. What's going on?
Yeah, they announced Speed Concepts announced his release, and looking at the entry list that he's moved back to Mike Doty Racing. I asked him personally what was going on. Never got a response back. So I'm going off what the entry list tells me, and that's Mike Doty Racing aboard of Cosmics. So back to MDR, working with Mike Doty and Brandon Jarzakrak. So that'll be interesting to see, dynamic with that. And, because again, they didn't really have a lead driver. Right now, their lead driver is in K100 Senior. They didn't have anybody in X30 Pro category. So maybe that'll help, stir up some X30 drivers under their tent moving forward. But so that's interesting. So essentially that left a spot open at Speed Concepts Racing, especially with Ingrata not being there. And I believe it's Austin Garrison that's going to replace him as the X30 senior driver under the tent.
So other stuff that obviously I think to look at, you mentioned Morgado already, obviously coming off a big win at the SCUSA event, getting things dialed in with PSL Karting and the Burrell Art guys. One of the ones I thought was interesting was seeing Oliver Hodgson for J3 competition on the entry list for Comp Kart. Hayden Jones, as we know, with Kart Republic, would look good. And the other one was Braden Eves, a former top driver who worked his way through the Road to Indy, which is now the USF Pro Championships. He's won a ton of races there. Braden Eves doing double duty this weekend with MPG Motorsports.
Yeah, interesting. He ran K100 Senior last time. Maybe he just likes the little bit of extra power in the X30 Pro, or MPG really wants to put an effort in every single category. So that's something we'll talk with Billy Vincent and Chase Jones there when we get trackside and talk to them a little bit about that. But yeah, Braden Eves, no stranger to being up front in the X30 category for sure. So yeah, this is going to be an epic race, with all the names that we've already mentioned. And then you never know who's going to come up and be, a spoiler. I mean, home turf, Aiden Rudolph, he's got to be a factor on the weekend. Yeah. You got to expect him to be somewhat close, or at least kind of be within the hunt. Obviously Orlando's a little bit of a difficult racetrack to make your X30 debut, but he's got lots of laps at Speed Sports for sure. Yeah,
and I put Elio Mesa in that same category, right? A local Texas driver who's got lots of track lap time on the Speed Sports track. So I think both he and Aiden could be quick. We didn't mention Diego Ramos yet for PSL Karting. He and Morgado were very good. They've got that Burrell dialed in where they want it to be. And another driver again, John Burke, another Texan running with Tesoro Raceworks rather this weekend on a CRG. So man, there's so many great storylines, and literally this field is stacked.
And again, that's one of the things we've talked about with the USPKS. Just having over 30 drivers, it's a full field. It really truly is when you get that, because you look at the talent pool, it's just phenomenal.
All right, let's move to KA100 Senior now. 54 entries. Christian Miles out of the gate. Scores the opening win of the year and gets the EKN Driver of the Month as a result. Very impressive for Christian Miles over a massive field. And he was steady throughout the entire weekend, David. Like we talked about, you have to get the points all across the qualifying, the heat races to be able to come away with the point lead. He did that. 103-point lead over Aiden Levy. Josh Campbell sitting in third in points right now. Brandon Lemke in fourth, and Lucas Zabo rounding out the top five. Miles are looking really good after a very consistent opening round of the series.
Yeah, as you said, top qualifier, won all three of his heat races, and then winning the main event certainly gives you a great push towards the championship. And just saw him on social media. He hasn't been in the kart since Orlando, so he's going right to Speed Sports, doing a lot of late model dirt stuff and some other car stuff as well. So it's very uncharacteristic of Christian not to be in the kart
right?
At all.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if he's got any rust to shake off, going from, dirt late model to the kart. But you look at the championship, like we said, they had 3 different winners in the other heat races that he wasn't in. So again, that helps his championship grow because there's no other driver that's been able to kind of match that pace.
Yeah.
And so 103 points already after 1 round. So that's going to tell you if he has a bad weekend this weekend, it's going to tighten things up in the championship, depending on what Aiden Levy and Josh Campbell do, who are sitting 2nd and 3rd. But it's good. I love this format, and I'm just really excited about this category because, again, 54 drivers in it as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it, not quite half, but kind of close to half are from Texas. We talked about the fact that there are some pretty strong Texas drivers to watch for in the X30 Pro class, but 21 drivers running in the KA 100 senior class are from Texas. A lot of great drivers here. David, we mentioned John Burke already, again, one of those Texans. We can go through all the drivers from Texas, like, the Miles Hewitts and guys that are coming up again. Like I said, Elio Mesa, Vinny Maskelis. You just kind of go with Peyton Phillips. Again, Peyton's had a great start to the season already. This may be a good opportunity for him to leverage some home track advantage.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, it's Phillips and Mesa. I think those are the kind of 2 drivers that stand out that have already had a lot of success at speed sports. And so those are kind of going to be the drivers leading the Lone Star State for sure on the weekend. But don't be surprised to see any of the other Texas drivers come in. Like you said, Burke being one of them, and Braden Robertson on the CRG as well too. So again, don't be surprised to see a lot of Texas names in the top 10 when you're looking at practice times.
And like, listen, a group of veterans too that are going to be in this program, which is one of the things we love about KA 100 seniors, not just the young drivers that are in it. You got the Nicholas Terleckis in there, right? You got Brandon Lemke. You've got Josh Holtz. You've got Connor Ferris. You got Braden Eves. These are drivers who have been around the top level of national racing for a number of years.
Yeah, and they were able to kind of, adapt to the longer main event. That was something that kind of stood out. 26 laps at Orlando, now obviously down to 20, so it's not as much as longer. But again, that was a key element in Orlando. Some of the drivers being able to manage their tires during that 20 lap stint. So that, because again, you don't practice that. There's not a practice session that's that long to where you're able to get used to that. So yeah, again, veterans, that's kind of where they're really going to shine, and staying out of trouble. That's something Terlecki did at Orlando until the last lap, and then contact took him off on the final corner. So that kind of really cost him. And he's actually down. I don't even see him on the championship. Oh yeah. All the way down to 20th right now. So,
well, that could have been a drop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that
could be his drop. Exactly.
Again, we mentioned Aiden Levy already. Austin Jur's sure to be in the fight. Josh Campbell's had a great start to the season as well for Ryan Perry Motorsports. I expect him in there. Finnegan Bailiff as well for Trinity Karting Group. Those are just some of the names I think we're going to see most definitely up in the the top 10. And again, this field's so deep. You're going to have a guy that could potentially win, potentially running 12th, 13th, or 14th because it's going to be that tight up front.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. I didn't think we had any LCQ issues last in Orlando, like any notable driver that had to come through the LCQ. I'm taking a look at that because that could possibly be a factor as well too this weekend. I think you'll have a little bit of that. Yeah, we didn't really have anybody that stood out that didn't make it through or had to go to the LCQ. I think this weekend's going to be different. I think there might be a name or two that you're like, man, they have to go through the LCQ.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, let's wrap up this segment with Pro Shifter. 16 drivers, as we had talked about. Danny Formal, a huge win for Rawlson Performance Group and the OTK product in that event in the opening round of the USPKS. But he does not come away with the championship, as we've talked all about already. Marian Kremers, more consistent in terms of overall points, but it's close. 10 points between Kremers and Formal. Hunter Pickett, 109 back. Carol Pasowitz, who will not, at least is not on the entry list right now. Pasowitz, 134 points back, and Giorgio Carrera, 139 points back. Half the field from Texas again. So we talk about those local drivers coming up. 8 of the 16 drivers, David, in the Pro Shifter class from Texas, which is great. I think Texas has always been a hotbed for shifter kart racing. We go, ever since I've been in this sport as a journalist and a publisher, Texas drivers have been big, and they've had a real affinity for the gearbox karting. Awesome to see so many drivers here out at the USPKS event.
Yeah, and you look at a couple drivers that might stand out. You got to include 5-time SuperCarts USA champion Jordan Musser.
Oh yeah,
and then also Max Hewitt, who was a top contender for many years on the Pro Tour, stepped away and now has come back. So he'll be with Sorrel Raceworks aboard the CRG. He actually won the Texas Sprint Racing Series event there over Musser. So they went 1-2 there. So they have the local knowledge there in terms of the shifter category. When you look at the championship with Pesowitz not there, that moves AJ Myers up into the top 5. He's 146 points back after qualifying second and winning all 3 heat races, but a brake failure put him out of the main event. Yeah. So this weekend's going to be all about gaining points for AJ Myers.
Hunter Pickett, of course, in the fight as well. We know Marion Kremers will be right in there. Carrera's going to be in there. I think it's going to be a good scrap in the KZ class. There's a lot of good drivers up front. David, as I said, is going to be dropping the new driver rankings out here before the event comes on. So you'll be able to see how many drivers from the top 10 actually on the grid in Pro Shifter at the Texas Grand Prix. It's going to be a great race for sure. Let's do another break, folks. When we get back, we'll go X30 Junior, KA100 Junior, and KA100 Masters. More to come this edition of the OutLap. Is IndyCar your dream? If it is, for 2023 and beyond, the path from karting to IndyCar has gotten even clearer. It's time to look into the new USF Juniors program and the brand new Tatis JR23. As the first step of the newly rebranded USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires, the USF Junior Series will feature a 6-event, 16-race schedule to train racers for the move into the USF 2000 Championship presented by Cooper Tires. The USF Juniors champion will win a scholarship worth over $248,000, and the total prize fund will exceed $330,000. The series will also debut the new Tatis JR23 race car in 2023, which is a development version of the USF 22 used in USF 2000. It's the ideal entry point for career-minded karters moving on to the car racing ladder. Safety is always front and center in the mind of the series promoters, and the USF Juniors car features a halo, and the races are supported by members of the AMR IndyCar safety team. If IndyCar is your goal, USF Juniors is the starting line. For more information, visit www.usfjuniors.com and follow USF Juniors on social media. Top-level production with a focus on a single form of motorsport, karting. This is MG Tires. MG Tires USA, underneath the Vantage Karting Group banner, is the official distributor of the MG Tires brand for the United States. MG Tires are the official spec tire in the US Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. Whether it's the medium SH Red or the soft SM Yellow that you find at many karting events in the US, or the super soft green SS and the intermediate white IZ optional compounds, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. Indoor and outdoor rental facilities can now trust MG Tires with their solution to long-lasting and the best performance with 3 different compounds available through the RL line. For more info about MG Tires USA and its extensive list of dealers near you, check out their website at mgtiresusa.com. MG Tires, for the drivers. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. Welcome back to episode 56 of the EKN OutLap. As David Cole, myself, Rob Howden, doing a deep dive into the preview of the USPKS Speed Sports Racing Park Texas Grand Prix. And again, jumping into this next category, we've got X30 Junior, KA100 Junior, and KA100 Masters on the docket here in this segment. 17 drivers in the X30 Junior category. Ernesto Rivero has been absolutely a beast since winning the Super Nationals last year. Rivera clocking a bunch of wins, already a championship with the SCUSA Winter Series done this year. He won the championship in the Florida Winter Tour, I think, too, did he not? In 125 junior competition? I think he did.
I think
I'd have to go look.
So.
Yeah, I'd have to go look.
Yes.
The bottom line is the kid's on a tear right now. Let's put it that way. Right now, of course, up front, 1, 2, 3 in the points are all drivers from Rawlison Performance Group. They had a fantastic run in Orlando. Rivera with 104 points over Max Taylor. Taylor will not be there this weekend. He'll actually be with me at Barber Motorsports Park for the USF Juniors event as part of the USF Pro Championships. He's doing that program this year. Teddy Musella, 175 points back. Enzo Vidmontien, 178 points back. And the other guy that's been a real stellar junior driver this year and has been in the hunt almost everywhere he goes, Stephen Miller, 183 points back. Long way to go for the championship. Those are the gaps right now. But David looking for what could be, which will definitely be a fun battle up front, even though only 17 drivers in the field.
Yeah, that's the goal for Miller right now, is to get some of those points back. He started as top qualifier in Orlando, and then Rivera took over from there. So every session matters, and he's going to have to be better than Rivera in every single session this weekend to help cut into that gap. Again, don't have to win, but beating him is probably going to be priority number one for Stephen Miller and everybody else in the field, including his, Rivera's teammate Teddy Musella, Enzo Vidmontien. We thought we were going to see a little bit better performance from him in Orlando, but just didn't quite get it. So maybe he'll step up there when we move over to Texas this weekend. So yeah, this is going to be a good, again, only 17 drivers doesn't mean it's not going to be a battle.
That's it. Yeah.
That's one thing. We saw Rivera and Taylor go at it for the victory there in Orlando. I got to expect to see at least a 2 to 3 driver fight for the victory when it comes to Sunday in the main event.
Yeah, I think another driver who's really kind of stepped things up over the first quarter of the year, Jackson Wolney for Rawlison Performance Group, has really dialed things in since working with Mike and the crew there. And then you go over to Speed Concepts Racing with Anthony Martella. He's kind of finding some pace as well. Ty Fisher has been, has shown flashes of big speed as well. So, and same thing with Emma Kate Scarborough, right? We've seen her with Chad Dockett Racing on the Kart Republic. She was right up in the fight too. So let's not kind of ignore her out of a conversation for top 5, top 10 as well.
Yeah, she had a 4th place finish there in Orlando. So certainly got to be more consistent to be able to challenge for the championship. But to be able to race for the win, she could be right there. Let's
go with KA100 Junior, another massive field, 50 drivers. There'll be the LCQ in this category. Ernesto Rivera sweeping the opening round of the USPKS, winning both the Junior KA100 and X30. But it is Stephen Miller who had a better overall weekend. He pulls a 15-point lead on Rivera into the weekend. Fernando Luque in 3rd spot, 103 points back. Leonardo Scorpioni, 105 back, and Eli Warren, 137 back. I find this interesting. Is Luque's on the entry list for junior, but he ran senior at the SCUSA Pro Tour? I didn't think you were doing that.
Two different organizations. You can.
All right.
That's again. We don't have a national licensing system that monitors this, Rob.
I know. Goodness.
So maybe good. Hold on. I got my notes here for the Tim Coyne interview. That'll be one of them as well.
Knock that down.
Yeah.
Knock that down. Anyway, yeah, Luque ran in the senior category at the Pro Tour Winter Nationals, and he's back in junior here for this particular event. We will not see a Scorpioni, and we will not see Eli Warren. At least they're not on the entry list that we received. So 4th and 5th place in points, not making the trek to Texas. But there is 11 drivers in the Texas from Texas that is running in this category, this KA junior category, which is stacked, as we know. You go down through some of the drivers like Santiago Duran from Texas, Diego Guial there as well. I'm just going through my list. What else we got? Justin Music as well. Tyler Roberts, I think, could be one. Landon Skinner, who's been racing a lot with Speed Sports. He knows that racetrack very well. So, David, lots of Texas drivers, including David Ybarra as well on the Tesoro Raceworks CRG. So there's a bunch of drivers from Texas. We'll be focused. Reagan Seville as well, right? Hey, this is our track, our home track. They hope to see if they can't get that little bit they need to potentially work their way into the top 10.
Yeah, I'm going to put the over under on the weekend. We got 8 categories. I'm going to say at least 3 drivers from Texas will win a main event. So for those betting at home right now, 3 drivers from Texas will win on the weekend.
Wow. All right.
So that's my my over under. Again, this category again, kind of go I like to go championship again, even though it's early, but you got to look at every session, every weekend.
Yep.
Stephen Miller was P1 throughout the weekend, except for the main event where he slipped to 3rd. So that is, that's a good championship. If he can do it again, and the same thing, again, helps establish his championship lead. But Rivera is going to certainly be there. And I think this category, you're going to have a lot more contenders. And that's something we saw in Orlando with a lot of drivers that were there to fight for the victory. And then again, Miller just came up a little bit short there in the main event. So, again, this one's going to be a little bit more wide open, I think, than the X30.
What I like too is as I kind of scroll up and down through the entry list, there's some of these drivers we've seen that have kind of flirted with the top 5, right? They've had top 5 runs, or in some of these big fields, even top 10 runs, top 5 runs, podium runs. I mentioned Jackson Wolney already in X30, in the X30 junior class. He's going to run in this KA class as well. You look at a driver as well, like Peyton Westcott, who qualified on pole out of the Challenge of the Americas, a young lady who works with the Nash Motorsports crew, right? And we know that she is going to be continuing to get faster and faster. You go to the SCUSA race at Orlando, Chase Busalia with GWR Racing was able to get a podium finish. Turner Brown's getting podium finishes now as well. These guys are, again, they will see a lot of development, right, through the young drivers who may be new to this junior category throughout the season. But there are drivers we're seeing find their way now into the top 10, into the top 5, and eventually onto the podium and to battle for race wins.
Yeah, and that's why I think this one's a little bit more wide open. Again, you got 50 drivers, so that increases the percentage of drivers or the number of drivers that are going to be able to contend because, as you said, drivers are improving as the season goes along because now we're entering the end of the 4th month of the year. So drivers have been racing 2 weekends, 3 weekends over the last 4 months.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of track time. Builds up a little bit more confidence every time they get out there. And as you said, once you get that first podium, you start to improve and gives you a couple more as well.
That's it. Austin Olds, Alex Mercado, Ty Fisher, Santiago Duran, Salvador Della Vecchia. This field is John Antonino. This field is absolutely stacked. Ethan Tovo. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch in this particular category. So we'll see who ends up pulling away with it in the junior class. Miller and Rivera really kind of have been the stars of the fields in junior this year. But again, as I said, everybody continues to get more and more speed throughout the season. Let's go to from the juniors to the elder statesmen of the program, drivers 30 years of age and older. The KA 100 Masters class, 20 entries total. Mike Rollison from RPG winning the opening round at Orlando, but it is Martin Stone, the Super Nationals winner, who has the point lead coming in with 40 markers over Rollison. Laurento Mardan on the Techno, only 46 backs. Alex Dancho, 83 back. Tommy Anderson, 120 back. No Mardan in this weekend, which is surprising because Mardan and the Techno Kart USA crew have been, longtime supporters of the USPKS. Not sure whether or not they're just not entered yet. Dancho's not in there as well, but David's 6 drivers, almost a third of the field coming from Texas.
Yes, Texas, again, this is one of those categories where I think we'll see a Texas winner. You have Martin Stone, you have Miguel Mir, who have been the top drivers in the Texas Sprint Racing Series, so they have a lot of laps there at the Speed Sports.
Good point.
You got Scott Cherry, another driver from Texas as well too. So this is one of those categories where there's a lot of drivers that can contend. It's just who's going to be able to beat Mike Rollison. I think that's really what it boils down to because it was Rollison who beat himself because he should be leading the championship and have a perfect record, but it was a broken lost battery that took that in a heat race that took away 100 points, gave him a disqualification for not having the battery and being underweight. So that's kept him out of the championship lead, obviously putting Martin Stone there in the top spot, but he has the ability to be quick there. There's no doubt about it. He's a former Vegas winner as well too. That's really what it boils down to is who can beat Mike Rollison. I think Stone, Mir are going to help lead the way again, this is their home racetrack, but you got a lot of contenders in this field that could be right there.
Yeah, think about these. Let me throw a couple of names out here for you. A handful of names of guys that are always up front and can win any race in one of these categories. Tim Meyer being one, the Californian. You've got Scott Kopp from Wisconsin. Nicky Coelho. This is a guy that's been racing top level, had run top level karts back in the 90s. He's done sports car Formula car racing. Coelho coming back to run the Masters category with Merlin. There's going to be a lot of information out of the Merlin crew in this particular category. They'll get it as well from the senior class with the guys there. Mario Barrios, we know, can run up front if he puts it all together. Tommy Anderson, already a top 5 in points. Tommy, of course, Dave, good to see him back, number 1. But number 2, the kid's got great speed, right? I still call him a kid. He's a Masters driver, but it's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
But Tommy Anderson for sure could be a driver who could go for the race win.
Yeah, so there's a lot of contenders that could be right there. And then Adam Kreppen, who was an official in Orlando, getting back behind the wheel and making his KA100 Masters debut.
And always great to see the Carapelletti brothers, right? Scott and Kim both running, again, veteran drivers who've been running national level racing for so many years. Legendary name in the sport of karting in the U.S., the Carapelletti. So great to have them there as well. Final break, folks. When we get back, we'll have a little look at Mini Swift and Micro Swift. We'll wrap it all up as we cap off the OutLap for this coming weekend's USPKS Texas Grand Prix. Motor mounts. They keep your engine attached to your chassis, right? The answer is they're much more important than that. Your motor mount is critical in transferring 100% of the power from your engine through to your tires and the racetrack. You need this to get on the podium each and every time you race. Odenthal Racing Products is here for you, providing the best motor mounts on the karting market today, all designed to make sure you're using all the horsepower you pay for. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience in providing products with unmatched quality and value for our racing community. The Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines, which is available in 0, 5, and 8-degree inclinations, provides a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a minimum without adding too much weight to your setup. The 4-cycle Easy Set system is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, our ORP wedge clamps get the job done, and they feature a number of design updates to provide a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro style sizes. And now, Odenthal has also revolutionized the karting industry with its new Easy GP camera mounting system. Designed to mount anywhere on your chassis with 1 or 2 cameras, the ORP Easy GP camera mount is your solution to capture that onboard winning moment. Head to odenthalracing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, proudly made in the USA. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter car drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels of the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion. Looking for that extra edge? Comet Racing Engines is your answer. The engine service program from Comet Kart Sales has been winning from coast to coast at all levels and different forms of the sport. Lead engine builders Mark Harrison and Gary Lawson have decades of karting experience, providing racers the power to reach the top step of the podium. Comet Racing Engines continually perform track and dyno tests to provide their customers with the cutting edge in engine performance. Comet specializes in Yamaha KT100, IAME Swift, IAME X30, IAME Leopard, and Rock engines. Trackside and customer support are the cornerstones of the Comet Racing Engines business, ensuring each and every customer receives personal attention and the help they need to achieve the best results. Engine rentals are available at all the events that Comet attends in 2018, including WKA, SCUSA, USPKS, and the Route 66 Sprint Series. Contact the Comet team today at cometkartsales.com or by calling 317-462-3413. If you're looking to step up your engine program, send it to Comet Racing Engines. Welcome back for the final segment of our OutLap preview podcast for this weekend's Texas Grand Prix, round 2 of the USPKS series at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas, just a little north of Houston. We'll jump now into the Mini Swift category. My name is Rob Howdigan, joined by David Cole to wrap things up here. 46 entries in Mini, 39 in Micro. Wow. Lucas Palacio, definitely a driver that everybody puts the focus on. They got the stopwatch on Lucas anytime he's on the racetrack. He was the winner of the opening round, holds a 75-point lead over Tristan Murphy coming into round number 2. Max Christia right there in the number 1, probably 160 points back. Kai Mars, same, 160 back. And Asher Moon, 170 back. All three of those drivers will be focusing on maximizing points in every session. 9 drivers out of the state of Texas, but Lucas Palacio, he'll have the target on him, David, when he rolls into Houston.
He certainly will. And qualifying was the only session he didn't come away with the top spot. You know, that went to Ashton Moon, who, as you said, is sitting 5th in the championship, 170 points back. So look how much of a difference it can make from Friday to Sunday. You could be the top dog on Friday, end up being 5th at the end of the weekend when it comes to the championship. So it makes for an interesting weekend when a lot of things can happen and a lot of points can move around. So Palacio, yeah, he's the target. You know, that's kind of been it. You know, I don't recall how things went in the Mini Swift category for the Superkarts USA weekend, but for USPKS, it was Palacio that really set the tone. And so who's going to be able to be there? You got only 9 drivers from Texas, so a few drivers with the home track knowledge to be able to battle with that. But then there's a lot of drivers that have been there all week long testing and getting ready for this weekend. For the Texas drivers, David, probably like a Bobby Klein, Nicholas Urbezo, maybe probably Bobby Klein. I think might be the primary guy that could step things up for the Texas contingent. But like you said, there's going to be so many drivers that have got, a lot of guys were there this past weekend, kind of on a warm-up weekend. You know, Alan got it set up. A lot of guys were on track. So you're looking at guys like Rocco Simoni, right? Royce Vega, who's had a good start to the season. Travis Pettit had a great run as well. He was up on the podium at the SCUSA race at Orlando. Tristan Murphy was a race winner. Supernats winner Michael McGoy. Just Jackson Gibson, another Supernats winner. He won in micros, moved up to mini. But, man, you got guys that know how to run at the top level. And then, again, Mateo Calderon as well, right? He's coming off a victory at Sonoma in the Challenge of the Americas. So a lot of momentum for all of these drivers coming into this weekend. Yeah, and again, experience. I think that's the one thing Palacio kind of has on everybody. He actually just went over to Europe and raced WSK weekend, was among the top 10 runners there. But I believe an incident dropped him out of the top 10 that weekend. But still, just a lot of experience out of the young kid. So I think, but that has him ahead of everybody else right now. I think they're still just trying to keep up, and we'll see kind of who is going to be that driver or drivers that battle him for the championship this year. Guys I've talked about in races, Fionn Shee, Marco Samet, Marco Romero rather. But then how about Antonio Pizzogno, right? Coming off the Winter Series Championship in SCUSA, moves immediately from micro up into mini. How does he rise to the challenge of battling some of these top drivers who maybe have 1, 2, 3 years in mini already? Yeah, he finished 3rd in Orlando. Certainly racing at Orlando probably helped. So this is a new racetrack for him. So we'll see kind of how he measures up. I know he was a little erratic out there, all over the place. Neurotic is what I meant. Erratic? Yeah, erratic. That's what I meant. I know. just kind of all over the place in terms of blocking and swerving. And so the heat races were not very kind to him because there was obviously a lot of drivers trying to get by him. But he was able to manage a podium finish. So a good run for him, sitting sixth right now in the championship. So yeah, we'll see if another month of growth is going to help him and be a little bit more consistent in this move up into the mini Swift.
That's it, right? That's part of it. They come up for the first time out of micro into mini. If they're they're into a deeper pond, and they just got to kind of get focused and understand how to race at that level. So. Speaking of micro, though, 39 drivers in the micro category. Parker Ives was the driver who came away with the victory in the opening round of the USPKS. So he holds a 70-point lead over Aston Wyatt. Maxwell Macha, 70 points back as well. Juan Diego Garcias is 137 points back, and Colton Schniegenberg, 141 points back. Another great group of Texas drivers. Again, hey, listen. Obviously, USPKS has been this East Coast program. David said the first time they've been west of the Mississippi. Speed Sports Texas has been dying for a major national race. They haven't had one since this track has been built. So finally, a track coming, and it was Mark Coates and USPKS. And listen, to be real, I'd hope for more Texas drivers in KA 100 Master. But David, they're arriving in all the other categories. 14 drivers in micro, all coming from the state of Texas.
Yeah, and Texas has been a big supporter over the last couple of years of the USPKS. So that certainly has helped, focus an event going down there. And so, Speed Sports was obviously a great opportunity and great location to do that. So Texas drivers have been strong here in the USPKS. So great to see a number of them in the micro category, because again, that's where the future stars are going to be coming from, is in this division. You got to look to the championship contenders, Aston Wyatt. He's racing at his home track of Speed Sports. Mm-hmm. He could be one of those Texas winners, certainly, being able to defend the home turf. So you gotta pick him as one of the favorites going into the weekend.
Yeah, we already talked about guys like Parker Ives leading the points, Maxwell Macha, of course, as well. Pasha Ali, I think another driver who's kind of dialing things in this year. I would expect that Pasha will battle for top five, potentially a race win as well. Pasha's a Texan, but running with the Parolin USA crew. Other drivers like Josh Bergman, we've talked about a little bit. Bergman on that Sodi Kart. We're seeing that kind of step up, the Sodi Kart program, step up a little bit, David. There's other drivers in this field. Again, they're so young. They're going to get quicker and quicker. Every time they come out to the racetrack, they're going to get better and better.
Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't doubt to see a completely different top five.
Sure,
because again, there's a lot of drivers we're still learning about, and as you said, there's been a lot of drivers that have gained a lot of momentum over the last couple of weeks, even going into this weekend. So don't be surprised to see a unique or different top five by the time the weekend ends.
Parker Ives will come in as a micro Swift point leader over Aston Wyatt, as we said, though. But that wraps up this edition of our Outlap Preview podcast. David, you're going to be there throughout the weekend. When are you rolling? You leaving on Thursday morning, or when are you heading out there?
Thursday morning. Flight is at 7 a.m. I believe.
Wow.
I land around 1 p.m. Texas time. So, excited to stop off at In-N-Out Burger and then get to the racetrack.
That's it, man. Just do it. Don't sneeze on the Freddy's Burger, though. I told you. That's a good. You've had it before. It's pretty solid.
It's cool. Again, In-N-Out's 20 minutes away. So I figure on the way to the racetrack, I can make a little detour and go that route. And then the rest of the weekend, you got Freddy. Again, I'm staying right there near the racetrack. So I wouldn't be surprised if I just end up eating Domino's all weekend long.
Oh, David. I'm just going to say there's so many fantastic restaurants around there. Just come a little bit more down the highway. Well, there's a great mall there with a ton of great restaurants. You got to check those places.
Then people need to send me their top fives or their top threes,
where should David eat that's not Domino's? I'm going to put
burgers, pizzas.
I'm pushing that out I'm going to push that out on social media.
If there's a good Mexican joint, I'll even go there.
No, the Mexican place that the Rudolphs took Alicia and I is fantastic. That's a great little place for sure. Anyways, folks, follow EKN on our social media for the 2023 USPKS Texas Grand Prix. You can listen live throughout the weekend on ekartingnews.com/live. We'll stream the audio from the Kart Chaser broadcast for those of you who maybe can't tune in. You could be rolling down the road in the car, whatever it may be. Always follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll have a lot going on there. Just look up the hashtags as well, EKN at USPKS or hashtag Texas GP. And David, of course, will have daily race reports. We've got interviews, all the stuff that we do as part of our EKN Trackside coverage. We do appreciate all the kind comments that we get from everybody. And the interviews have been good. People are loving the scale videos. They're loving the post-race interviews, David. It's the content's on point. And again, we're just there to chronicle the sport and archive it for the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And excited to be heading to speed sports for the first time and get to take part in USPKS first trip to Texas. And again, this weekend is just going to be phenomenal. The anticipation is killing me, Rob.
You're going to love it. It's a great racetrack, great place to watch some action for sure. Hopefully some of the people that come out there to do a lot of the rental car races there, I'll say, hey, you know what? I want to check out this big event. Hopefully we'll get some fans there as well. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the EKN OutLap, our preview podcast, number 56 of the USPKS Speed Sports Racing Park, Texas Grand Prix. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow along all weekend long. David Cole will be providing coverage Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's going to be a tremendous weekend in Texas. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, folks. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.